Thanks for coming out and watching the oxymoronic Reddit Professional Show, where I showcase the best and worst of the internet. Here I comment on brilliant and hilarious comment chains regarding dumb shit on the internet for you to enjoy. Make sure to subscribe, hit the little bell button so that you get notifications every time we come up with a new video. Enjoy this week's show.
The secret metrics that determine who can dominate PPC and rank for keywords on Amazon. 99.9% of Amazon advertisers are focused on the wrong metrics, and yet there's a simple fix. Generally, advertisers want to focus on ACOS, or on revenue and orders for those launching new products. While these metrics have their place, managing ads based on them is like driving based solely on how the highway is painted and ignoring the signs telling you how to get to your destination. Let's see why these metrics are flawed and what better alternatives exist. I have experience managing $7 million in Amazon ad spend, over $2 million of which in sponsored brands. My agency, 011 Ads for Brands, specializes in sponsored brands for sellers/vendors with brand registry. ACOS, tacos, orders and revenue, useful but flawed. ACOS, ad spend divided by revenue, tells you what percentage of revenue was spent acquiring that sale. This is used as a rule of thumb to measure advertising profitability. If your product margin is 30% and your ACOS is 20%, your sale didn't eat your whole gross margin, good job. If your margin is 30% and your ACOS is 50%, you have room to improve. However, it's quickly apparent that ACOS can be gamed. You can bid the minimum bid of 10 cents, and if you get any clicks and orders, your ACOS will probably be extremely low. The catch is that your volume will be tiny. Maybe you sold $2,000 of goods in a month at a 4% ACOS, but most people can't live on the roughly $600 of gross margin that generates, let alone the net margin. ACOS can also be gamed with high-priced products, so something that sells for $1,000 is likely to have low ACOS numbers. If you pay $1 per click and convert at 1%, your ACOS is 10%, extremely low by Amazon standards. Again, the volume is likely to be low though, because of basic economics. As price rises, demand decreases. Amazon sells more toothbrushes than whirlpools. What about total ACOS or true ACOS, aka TACOS? TACOS is a step in the right direction to be more holistic, but in many cases it's inaccurate. The reason is that TACOS assumes that advertising product A results in selling product A. The deeper a seller's catalog with a category, the more chances for TACOS to be inaccurate. For example, advertising a food blender with 1 horsepower may end up selling your premium blender with 2 horsepower. In my own experience, I've seen ads for product A selling product B/C/D as much as 80% of the time. How do you account for that revenue with TACOS? Under product A or B? What happens if product A and B have very different margins? Your TACOS target of 15% based on a 30% margin for A suddenly looks a bit thin when you're working on a 20% margin for B. So you can use TACOS at a product line level, where a product line is the group of products for whom the keywords/target audience overlap 80% or more. E.g. TACOS for fidget spinners including your metal ones, and all color variants, plastic and wooden ones. You group the spend and revenue together. Note that tools currently report TACOS at a product level, so take those numbers with a grain of salt. Orders and revenue are not the be-all/end all either, even for those in launch phase. Many sellers are willing to tolerate initial losses as they gain reviews and traction with Amazon's algorithm. What happens if you get the reviews but the traction doesn't come? More importantly, how does focus on orders tell you whether your ads are working well or not? For example, maybe you can afford a 100% ACOS, but half of the ad spend is wasted due to ad mismanagement. In that case, you would only need to tolerate a 50% ACOS. Orders and revenue, even per month or per week, won't guide you. Are conversion rates or average order values the right metric? Nope. Want to know how to optimize your conversion rate? Run a 50% off sale without doubling the price first. Want to optimize average order value? Double the price. Which one's better? High conversion at lower prices or lower conversion at higher prices? That determine who can dominate PPC and rank for keywords on Amazon. Of course, experienced advertisers will tell you that the right answer is to test. How do you measure the outcome of the test though? Whichever one makes you the most money. So if one of the ads gets shown 5 times more than the other, and it made more revenue in total, is that the winner? I think you'd agree that would be silly. You'd say that we need each version to get the same amount of traffic, and then see which made more revenue. In other words, the metric that really matters is revenue per click. You can do the same test with profit per click, I'm just saying revenue to keep things simple. There are also problems with how profit is measured in all the third-party ad tools I've seen so far, as discussed above. ACOS. Revenue per click, RPC, per mil, RPM, and RPCM. Revenue per click can't be artificially gamed. If I drop my price, the usual outcome is that my conversion rate increases while my average order price decreases. Comparing revenue per click at both prices tells me if the change, or the opposite, was worthwhile. If I drop my bid, revenue per click doesn't inherently get better or worse. Sometimes dropping bids will result in lower converting placements, e.g. going from ads mostly appearing top of search to other placements, but so long as you're comparing revenue per click from the same placement, you're good. In this way, revenue per click is a more useful indicator of profitability than ACOS, since Amazon ads are sold on a per-click basis. For example, if two keywords with similar search volume both have 15% ACOS, which should you prioritize in your title? Obviously the one making more revenue per click. Similarly, if you want to run sponsored brands as well as sponsored products, it's a good idea to start with keywords that make you higher RPC. There is a limitation on revenue per click though. Revenue per click doesn't reflect your click-through rate, CTR, the percentage of people clicking your ad. Going back to our earlier question, should you prioritize high conversion or high average order value? We can add another criteria to consider. What about the click-through rate? Suppose your ad showed on the top of search placement 10,000 times and got 40 clicks. If you have a 20% conversion rate, that means you made 8 sales. Suppose also you average $50 per order. Your RPC is high. 8 multiply $50/40 equals $10. However, your total revenue is small since nearly no one clicks your ad. That's where revenue per mil comes in. Revenue per mil equals revenue/impressions multiply 1000. RPM takes into account your click-through rate, the conversion rate, and the average order value. Mil is French for 1000, and the term the ad industry uses for 1000 impressions. It's easier to grasp revenue per 1000 impressions than per single impression, since revenue per impression is measured in pennies and fractions of pennies. In the above example, $400/10,000 impressions multiply 1000 gives you $40 RPM. When you compare that to more standard sponsored brand ads, getting 1% CTRS, top of search, or better, that's 1000 multiply 1% multiply 20% multiply $50 equals $100 RPM. We've seen some of our ads that were really well targeted get 2% and 3% click-through rates, which obviously does wonders for your total revenue and RPM. In addition, RPM matters because you mostly can't cause more people to search for your target keywords. You can advertise off the platform and use search find by, but you obviously don't want those people to cost you a second ad click after your initial one. So RPM is a metric of how efficiently you're monetizing Amazon's traffic. RPM's also not perfect, so what do? RPMC and goals. One product I worked on has a very eye-catching image. The sponsored product CTR is over 1%, not just on niche keywords, but in general. Yet the conversion rate, compared to the rest of the account, is about 40% lower. The impact this has is that while the RPM is high, there's a ton of traffic driving lots of sales, the RPC is lower than others. What do you prioritize, RPC or RPM? What I try to do is multiply RPM and RPC to get a made-up number, RPMC, which is a way to rank and compare ads where some of the ads have higher RPC and others have higher RPM. It's like being a sports coach, rating your players on speed and shooting accuracy, then measuring the average to find who's the best rounded player. Depending on your goals, you may prefer to use RPM or RPC. If you are focused on market share, RPM's your metric. If you're focused on ad profitability, use RPC. TLDR. ACOS, revenue, orders, conversion rates, and average order values are all flawed metrics because they can be gamed or because they only reflect part of the picture. Use revenue per 1000 impressions, per mil, RPM, to focus on maximizing total revenue and market share. Use revenue per click, RPC, to focus on profitability. Or use the product of both, RPMC, for an indication which ads and keywords do best overall, and improve your ROI. There are a variety of uses for this as well. The higher your RPC and RPM, the more you can spend on PPC, and the better you can rank organically. There are other implications for bidding and organic optimization, e.g. what keywords to prioritize in your listing, that I intend to address if this post gets a good reception. Body of your post doesn't even speak to your clickbait. It sounds like you missed the point of this, namely RPM, RPC and RPMC. And it's not really hyperbole. If you earn more for the traffic, you can pay more for it. If you can buy the traffic and keep out competitors, you win. If you bid less, your clicks are cheaper. That's not gaming. I don't know why you even use that word. A. Because some people want to show that they got great ACOS. That's nice, but it lacks context. That's my point. For item price, that is just where a seller wants to position a product in the market. No legit ad agency is doubling prices to game metrics and appease clients. Answer: yes, you're right. My point is that conversion rate needs context. I've seen it fluctuate significantly on the same keyword depending on your price and price vs competition. I usually dislike hyperbolic titles followed by a long-winded diatribe on relatively simple topics and then, of course, a sales pitch. This case is no different. Body of your post doesn't even speak to your clickbait. You imply ACOS is bad because it can be gamed by bid or item price. This is a little nonsensical. If you bid less, your clicks are cheaper. That's not gaming. I don't know why you even use that word. For item price, that is just where a seller wants to position a product in the market. No legit ad agency is doubling prices to game metrics and appease clients. You say conversion rates and AOV are not good metrics. No, this is the worst part of your post. Conversion rate is king on Amazon. Optimizing for conversion rate is how I begin all campaigns. The higher your campaign converts on keywords, the lower you can reduce your bid on a mature campaign and receive the same exposure for a lower cost. Whether AOV matters depends on the brand/product. For me it does because I push a lot of related accessories with lead items, advertise bundle listings, etc. If you have a single standalone product in a niche and customers rarely buy multiple, then it doesn't matter. But saying it's a bad metric is dumb. You say revenue by clicks/impressions is best because it can't be gamed. I don't understand why you're claiming metrics are good because they can't be gamed. Revenue per click is a function of conversion rate and AOV, which you just told people aren't the right metrics. Anyway, I'm done picking this apart. Amazon PPC is very simple. You just focus on search terms that convert and throw away non-converting and irrelevant search terms Amazon wants you to pay for. Do it in-house, don't hire agencies. Especially this guy. You're completely missing his point. He's using the word gamed wrong. Just forget that for a second. All he's trying to say is that ACOS alone isn't a very good metric. You always see noobs who try to get their ACOS to single-digit percentages and think they made progress, but really they screwed up because they're now getting no sales volume. It can be better to sell a ton of product at just below break-even ACOS than it is to sell a little product way below ACOS. That's the premise of this entire post, and then he goes and gives alternative metrics and explains them. He's saying looking at conversion rate alone can be gamed because it will fluctuate during price changes. You don't test different prices. Yeah, he used too many words to get this across, but try to put yourself in the shoes of a noob who is intimidated by PPC, as many are. I think this is a good post for those people. We have never had a rule against putting a link at the bottom of a post if the post is genuinely a good contribution.
If you enjoyed this week's effective way to waste time, hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. If you are enjoying the series, leave me a comment below. A special shout out to the content creators. You frickin' rock.